Hi, it's Kevin, and this is the video tutorial from Craft Day in a Box for the Universal Baker's Box for treats or what have you. These are great little boxes that come mostly assembled. You just have to fold them up on the score lines and pop them together. They actually don't require any glue or anything to put them together, and I'm going to show you some really interesting ways to use these boxes that you may not have been aware of and may have shied away from just because they talk about using them for cookies or donuts or something like that, but they really don't have to be used just for cookies and donuts. We're going to, from the Ornate Thanks Ornate Thanks stamp set for gift giving, I'm going to use the sentiment "just wanted to say thanks." So we're going to double up on this one. We can use a bit of a bigger tag, and I'm going to use two pieces, and I'm going to show you how to do that all in one so that you don't have to try to figure out how to stamp twice. Okay, so from your parts kit, everything that you need would have come all packed up inside of the baker's box and would have been on the very bottom of your kit like this. So inside you're going to find a piece of designer series paper. Everybody has something different. There are some old papers, some new papers, there are some fun papers in there, and you got two sides to pick from. Some of them are bright, some of them are not. And I'm going to leave it up to you to decide whether you want to use the piece that's in there, or there were two additional pieces of designer series paper in your kit. With the envelopes, they were the two of them were together at the bottom of the stack. One will be from the Best Dressed, the floral paper, that on the other side has the lipstick or the handbags or the purses or what have you. And one other that is from Magnolia Lane, which has the magnolias and is that petal pink, black, old olive color. You can decide what you want to do, but you can also stamp decorate these boxes. And I'm just quickly going to bring in another design. This is an alternate design, and we're going to look at this one after, but this one was completely stamped on the sides. It's not hard to do. I just used regular ink, regular stamps. Just have to allow a little bit of extra drying time. This is a glossy paper that these boxes are made out of. It's coated. It dries relatively quickly and you can handle it, but if you were to put your finger on and go like that, it will smudge. It needs an hour or so for it to fully set. But while you're stamping, you can stamp on it and you can handle it. You don't have to worry about not touching it and letting it dry for 5 minutes in between colors. So if you want to try stamping, grab a stamp set that's got some little flowers, little leaves and things in it, or whatever images you want, and go to it. It would be very interesting to see what everybody posts for pictures for this project when they're done, to see what the variations are. So in your kit, you're going to have designer series paper, or you're going to stamp. You're also going to have some pieces of Whisper White that came from the same identical sheet, and in the instructions it tells you where to score. You do the same score lines on them, and then you cut it in half, and you cut that half in half, so you end up with 4 pieces. These are going to be our box dividers for the inside of the box. Okay. So to start, you take your box, basically just fold everything and crease everything. Okay, everything needs to be folded and creased. Doesn't have to be creased hard, just has to be creased. It makes it a little easier when you go to put it all together. Okay. So do all the different folds, your cover, the next cover one, and the flaps. You just have to be a little gentle when you're folding the flaps in so that you don't buckle the window in the top. Okay. And then with this one, you have to punch out the little thumb tab because it's part of this piece, but you just kind of punch it out, fold it over. Okay. Now, this is how easy this box goes together. Starting from the sides, you fold your little flappies in and stand them up. Okay. Then you bring up your front piece and you fold the top part over, and it's got these little tabs. Those little tabs lock into two little slots down here in the bottom. You can see them, they peek out right here. And that locks your box together. Then it's just a matter of bringing your top up, and everything goes inside. Nothing stays on the outside of the box. All the tabs go inside the box. Even the front one goes inside the box. And your box is done. Voila. Now, you can load it up with cookies or donuts or cupcakes, whatever you like. But that's not very fun. We want to do something fun on the inside of the box. So, you have these divider pieces. And it's very simple. You do one in the middle as a mountain fold, and the other two go the other way. So you're just going to zigzag them. So start with your biggest one. Okay. And if you put that in the bottom of your box, you've now divided your box into two compartments. So you can put whatever you like in those two compartments. Maybe you want to put cookies, little, you could line up, what are they called? Macaron cookies, 2 rows of macaron cookies in there, or Oreos, or what have you. But what if you want to divide it further? Well, take another one of your divider strips and give it a little zigzag and put that in this half of the box. Now your box is divided into 3 compartments, and once you get your cookies or your candies and stuff in there, it'll hold these up so that they don't flop around. But you could also do a 4th one. Yes, let's go crazy and do all 4. You don't have to glue these down, but if you wanted to, you could put a little bit of adhesive in here to keep these shut, and you could put a little bit of adhesive on the bottom to glue these all down. And now you have 4. And if you look in the photo gallery section, you will see that I've got pictures where I filled it up with 4 types of candy. You can also put coffee pods in them and give somebody the gift of their favorite coffee treat. Okay? There is one little trick that I will give you as well. And I did it on whichever flap ends up here in the front, next to your little thumb hole. It's kind of hard to fish this last flap in over top of that. It gets in the way. So I would suggest whichever one ends up in the front, depending upon how you do it. If it's your longer one, you're oriented that way, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just cut the corner off of it like that. Okay, that's all you have to do is cut the corner off of it in the front, and that just makes it so much easier for the flap to find its way in. Okay, isn't that great? So you can put whatever you want in, like that. If you want to as well, you can put a little bit of adhesive here on these flaps and glue the back to it. It just makes it nicer so it doesn't fall apart like this. And I did do that in my box that I put candies in, because I didn't want the candies to fall out of the back. So I just put a little bit of glue on those 2 tabs and used liquid glue so that I had time to get it all closed up like this, and then I could push them in and push them in from the back. In fact, I just stood it up like that on its edge and let it dry. Okay? And the last step in this is just decoration. Now, in my project sample that I did, we put some doilies in your kit with the embellishments. There was doilies, there was ribbon, there were these jewels. Okay, so you could cut a quarter of a doily and put it on the inside of your window. There's 2 colors of ribbon that you can wrap around and tie your tag on with. There's the rhinestones, but there's also a matter of this DSP. And that's to go on the side panels. So I'm going to show you how to cut that. I want 4 pieces, and I guess I have to decide whether I want my pattern to go this way or this way, and I think I want it to go that way. Okay, so I want 4 strips that are, I have to consult my measurements, 1.5 is the only way we're going to do it, because it's a 6-inch by 6-inch piece of paper. So half of it would be 3. And half of each of those is going to be 1.5. Get in there, 1 and okay, doesn't want to cooperate with me. There we are. 1.5. And then I want them all to be 4. Now I suppose if I had been thinking, instead of having 4 little tiny scraps left over, I could have cut a long 2-inch piece off and saved it to decorate something with, but I wasn't thinking about that. And so then these are just going to go... Oh, I like the polka dots too. Do I like the polka dots? No, I like the stripes. Like the stripes. These just go on the sides of the box, just like that. Now you could do one big long strip, I suppose, if you wanted to try to wrap it around the edges. But where it has a bit of a white border on the top and the bottom. That's also why I cut them at 4 inches instead of 4 1/4, because I just like to have that margin. The boxes themselves, being white, lend themselves really well with white ribbon and white doilies and white candies for being a wedding favor. Maybe not for every person, but for every couple. And you could have, well, you could put a row of macarons in there. I know lots of people are using the macaron cookies as wedding favors. And 2 coffee pods. And wouldn't that make a great gift for a couple? 2 coffees, 2 hot chocolates, and macaron. And then if you wanted to with the doily, all you have to do is cut a piece of the doily and glue it on the inside of your cover. You could use the whole thing if you wanted to. You could use a half of one, like that. You could do 2 half ones, whatever you like. It is entirely up to you how you wish to decorate your box. Okay. The last step I wanted to show you was how to do the tag. Okay. In your parts kit, and it may actually have been inside of that set, was just another scrap of paper, and that was put there for you. Whisper white, I believe it's thick whisper white, and that was for you to do a tag for this. And I said I was going to use the just wanted to say and thanks, and if you notice, the just wanting to say actually has a little bit of an indent in the rubber. And that, I think, was done purposely so that you could nest the thanks right into it and pick it all up on your block at once. Okay, and depending upon what color ribbon you decide to use with your box, in this case I used the green. In this case, I think I'm going to go with the orange, because the orange and purple look really good together. So I'm going to get my Grapefruit Grove ink pad, and I'm going to stamp up just to one end near the top here. Just wanted to say thanks. And then I'm handy dandy little trimmer. And I'm just gonna trim that down to about an inch. Yeah, if anybody knows a better way to get little strips out of the mini trimmer, let me know. And I'm gonna do it this way actually. A little off here, and I'm going to flag this end. And then based on whatever tools you have, if you have the trio punch, you can punch a hole. Just use my handy dandy old dollar store hole punch. I'm just going to punch a hole in the end. No, I was going to use orange ribbon. And put my ribbon through. And then I'm probably going to fight with it to remember how to do this properly, but we go around the bottom and twist and then back up to the top. Yeah, right. You know me and bows, I'm not the best with bows. I usually use my fork to tie bows, but in this case I can't do it because I'm not sticking it on afterwards. So, with a wish and a prayer and maybe my tweezers. There we go. Ha! There we are. Voila! Now, I do want to show you one other alternate that I thought was really, really neat. This is not my design. This is something that a Dutch lady did online. And she stamped all over her box. Then she took her piece of designer series paper and she cut a 4 by 4 inch square. And then she took one of the nested stitched square dies and she made it so that it's a little smaller than the window. So it completely covers the edge of the window. So it's a little smaller. And she cut a square out of the middle of it. And that square, let's just measure it here to see. So that die was a 3 inch by 3 inch die. Okay. That square that comes out of the middle of that, this is important. 4 inches, you're going to have a 2 inch strip, and you're going to have a 2 inch strip left of your paper. Those 2 by 2 inch pieces go on the sides of this little acetate cube that's down inside the box. And the 3 inch piece that comes out of the hole goes down in the bottom and is just glued in the bottom. Then this is just so the boxes are 4 1/4 wide. So this is a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 with an extra inch on either side. So 6 1/4 by 6 1/4, scored at an inch, an inch, an inch, an inch, and then you just notch your corners off. And then this was just a little bigger than 2. And I think what I actually had to do is the square dies were 2 1/16, but it wasn't quite big enough. So I just very carefully moved the die a little bit that way and a little bit that way to make it a little bit larger and cut a second and third time to make it 2 1/8 by 2 1/8. And that just goes in the bottom of the box. You could glue it in with a couple of glue dots so that it stays firm, and it could have been done square as well. And then you just cut your little squares of designer series paper, glue them onto one of our acetate boxes. This is a product right out of the catalog. These are little treat boxes. You can fill that up with candy or maybe a diamond ring, $1 million, could be whatever you want. And that just goes in there like that. And that closes up like that. And there's another idea for a box with a gift in it. So it could be coffee pods, it could be candy, it could be chocolate bars, it could be 2 rows of cookies, it could be 1 giant donut, it could be whatever you want it to be. These boxes are pretty versatile. They can be lined with designer series paper, they can be stamped on. So I hope you have enjoyed this project. I can't wait to see pictures of your projects completed. You can post them on the Facebook page for creative events and retreats, where you will find 6 posts for the individual projects. So there will be one there for the Universal Baker Box, and we would like for you to post your pictures there with that. And we would like to see if you come up with an alternate idea for how you might want to decorate or divide it up inside and what you might want to put in it. So I hope you've enjoyed this project, and we'll see you again later.